It was Friday, and my mom was begging me to go to this festival with my little brother. I wasn't that type of guy to go outside, but I had no choice. My mom said we were going to leave around 8 p.m. I packed necessary stuff like water and my snacks. I did plan on being on my phone the whole trip anyways. 8 o'clock hit, and we were in the car. My brother couldn't stop talking about how excited he was to go to the festival. Finally, we arrived. It was a really childish festival, with lights and people dressed up as toy characters from movies. One of them really stood out to me. It was this really creepy clown, almost like it wasn't even a part of the festival. About 10 minutes passed by, my feet were killing me. And on top of that, my phone died. I was extremely bored, the festival was nowhere near done, and then I saw that same clown again. This time he was looking at me, eye to eye. I wasn't comfortable at all. I decided I was going to go to the bathroom so I wouldn't have to see that clown. I told my mom and basically jogged my way to the bathroom. I wanted to go to the one that was farthest away from the clown. After washing my hands I came out. It was getting darker, you probably couldn't see 500 meters without the festival lights. This time I walked back, wasting as much time as I could. I could hear someone running behind me, literally sounding like he was coming toward me. I turned around, and it was that same clown again. I was almost certain he was following me. I made it back to my mom, told her I wanted to go home early because I wasn't feeling well. She let me go home early. However, since my little brother was still enjoying himself and didn't want to go home early, my mother allowed me to walk back home. Our home must have been a 15-minute walk, and I made sure I left without that clown following me. It was about 10 minutes to my home when I heard one of those clown horns. It was extremely loud. I almost screamed. As I turned around, there was nothing. Now I was jogging again, I knew I was being stalked. I couldn't even think, do I go home? Or go to a nearby store? The one thing I didn't want to happen, happened. Someone grabbed me from my shoulder, I fell to the ground hard. I looked up, and my heart stopped, literally. It was that same clown, he had a dirty smile on his face. I screamed, struggled to get the man off of me. I was 13 at the time and didn't know how to defend myself. I poked him in the eye and pushed him off of me. I ran to a nearby trail, basically a shortcut to my house. I was pretty fast for my age, but not the smartest. I kept running, I heard the man chasing me behind me. I was at this point thinking I was going to die. I was able to outrun the man, thankfully. Once I made it out of the trail, I was about 4 minutes away from my house. Before I ran, I heard that man give out an unexplainable creepy laugh. I finally made it home. When my mom came home, I told her what happened. She didn't believe at first, but that man scratched me, and I didn't even realize. My mom called the police, and I told them exactly what happened. He never got caught, and nothing has happened since, but I will never go to another festival again. The following happened in the 90s. I was spending a month with my cousins at my grandma's house. We often did that as me and all my cousins lived in separate cities and hardly got to meet. So once or twice a year we would get together at our grandma's. I don't remember exactly when the following happened, but it was early fall. My cousins' ages ranged from 10 to 15, with me being the oldest at 15. I was staying with a 10, 13, and 14-year-old. We often stayed up telling scary stories, but one night a few weeks in, we decided to make a campfire out back. My grandma's house is in a rural suburb, with neighbors not too far when driving down the road to her house, but in the backyard, it's thick forest with man-made paths through it. Each house is on a hill, so only part of the basement was actually underground. That isn't important until later though. We were towards the east side of her yard, in a smallish patch of open land. You couldn't see the neighboring yards from there, and there was probably 3/4 of a mile to each side of us that belonged to my grandma. It was maybe 11 at night, and we were playing truth or dare after telling scary stories. My 14-year-old cousin dared me and the 13-year-old to walk through the paths for 10 minutes or so. I said yes right away, as I wasn't easily scared and rather level-headed, but my younger cousin was a bit more hesitant. We didn't bring a flashlight because it wasn't pitch dark yet, and we could see enough to not die. We were walking through the paths for about 5 minutes and could barely see the fire through the trees when we decided to turn. In the middle of the path was a large dog-like creature, hunched over with its front hands an inch from the ground. What I remember most was how its eyes were so bright white, and it was humanoid dog shaped with a human-like head but a dog-like body, human hands, and feet. It looked right at us, and I know I was paralyzed with fear as it dashed away in the opposite direction from us, towards a creek that ran through the yard. Eventually, my cousin and I screamed bloody murder, and the other cousins and my grandma ran to us. I don't remember much here because I was really disoriented and couldn't think properly, but I did wake up in bed, so I assumed that I was brought up to the house. All the kids slept in the basement, in a big room with sliding glass doors to the outside, as the room was on the side that wasn't underground. My bed was pressed against a big glass window, and I could see my cousins playing outside down below. The house is in Michigan, so it gets slightly chilly even at the end of August, and there was a slight breeze, so I put on a jacket and ran to join them outside, skipping breakfast, not wanting to miss out on anything fun. When I got down, I could tell they weren't playing but rather running to get my grandma. Her dogs, both of them, were dead and ripped up. That night we went to bed early. I woke up at maybe 2 in the morning because I felt something hit my head. My cousins were all sitting on the double bed opposite me on the other side of the room. There was one bunk bed and 2 double beds, the double beds for me and my 14-year-old cousin. They were being quiet and staring at me. The 13-year-old nodded his head toward the window. I froze. They all looked afraid. I turned my head slightly to the side, and I saw a really messed up looking face pressed to the window with gaping eyes looking down at me. I screamed so loud, and it bolted. My grandma called the police after I told her what happened, and they found nothing. I went home after that and I have never been there during the night again. It was a chilling reminder that sometimes, the scariest things are not just in stories but can be lurking right outside your door. This all happened when I was 11. I was home alone as my parents went to pick up my brother who was out of town. I was playing on my computer. I think I was playing Call of Duty with my headphones on. I usually played for hours before taking a break. While I was playing, I heard our basement door slam closed. I never really heard anything except my game while I had my headphones on. I ignored it, thinking I was just hearing things, considering I had been playing for almost 3 hours. Not even 2 minutes passed before the basement door slammed closed again. This time I knew I wasn't hearing things. I got off my seat and made my way downstairs. I turned on the light, and everything was there, nothing was moved. But the basement door was slightly opened. I knew it was closed before, not even wind could open it. A person had to physically open the door. Before I could decide what to do, in the basement, I heard whispering, almost like they were trying to get my attention. I was a pretty strong person for my age, and I knew how to fight back, so I went to the garage and grabbed a baseball bat. It was late, so it wasn't like I could just go to my neighbor's house and ask for help. I got ready and slightly opened the basement door. It made a loud creaking noise that could be heard all over the house. I couldn't find the light switch, so I had to go without a flashlight, thinking now that wasn't the smartest move. Every step I took was so loud, even the stairs were creaking. Honestly, I don't even remember the last time I went into my basement. I didn't know if I should say something or not, but I decided I should. Maybe it could scare off the person. I said hello in a very scared voice. There was no response. All I wanted to do now was go upstairs and play Call of Duty. I was actually starting to get goosebumps. I could barely see. I kept crashing into boxes and things we kept in the basement. I was going to head up the stairs until I saw something odd behind the boxes, something tall. It looked just like a human outline. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. I was frozen, I couldn't process anything. I knew I had to do something. I said out loud, "Who are you?" He started whispering. I could tell it was a man now. I threw my baseball bat at him and ran up the stairs, breathing heavily. I trembled down the last few steps, quickly got up, and shut the basement door. He wasn't chasing me. I locked the door and ran up the stairs. I called the police and my mom. When the police came, I showed them where the man was hiding. To my fear, the man had escaped. The cops told me he came in through the living room window, which was wide open. Then he left by smashing the basement window using the baseball bat I threw at him. Before leaving, they waited for my parents to arrive and searched the whole house just in case. If I hadn't thrown the baseball bat, he would have been caught. I never dared to step into a basement again, and my parents never leave me home alone now. Thankfully, we moved a year later, and nothing has happened since. The experience left me with a sense of fear and vulnerability that I had never felt before. It made me realize the importance of being cautious and aware of my surroundings, even in the safety of my own home. The thought of someone lurking in the shadows of my basement still sends shivers down my spine. I often wonder what could have happened if I hadn't acted quickly and thrown that baseball bat. Would the intruder have harmed me? Would he have taken something valuable from our home? The uncertainty of the situation haunts me to this day. Despite the terrifying ordeal, I am grateful for the lessons it taught me. I now make sure to double check all the doors and windows before going to bed, and I always keep a phone nearby in case of emergencies. The experience may have been traumatic, but it has also made me more vigilant and prepared for any unexpected dangers that may come my way. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Please subscribe and click the bell icon to get notification for all future narrations.